Hello, authors. So, you should be super excited because today is the day we get to finally finish our story and publish it so other people can see our story. We've been working really hard. On Monday, you guys brainstormed. You thought about what is it that I want to even write about, and you made a plan. So did I. I came up with my character, setting, problem, solution. That was Monday. On Tuesday, you guys were supposed to write your story for the very first time on Kid Blog. Yesterday, we went back and we added some details so that it was even better than when we first wrote it, right? And today, you're going to go back to the same story. So I'm going back to the first story that I wrote on Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday. I'm going back to my fiesta time. And I'm going to finish it up so that I can publish it today. My last step is to do editing, revising, and then I can publish. Edit and revising is when we read our story and make the changes we need so it's ready to go. And then publish is when everyone is able to see it. Okay, so there are 3 things I want you to do today as you are reading your story. So when you edit and revise, I want you to look for these 3 things. You're first going to read it one time, and you're going to check to make sure you started your sentences with a capital letter. That's the first thing you're going to do. Read your story, check to see, did you start with capital letters? So let me do that. I'm going to do number 1 first. Okay, so here's my first sentence, and I started with a capital letter. Bump, 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 K. My next sentence, I started with a capital letter. Check. The sound of feet moving and dancing upstairs was out of Bellis. Okay. The next sentence, I started with a capital letter. I could hear the music all around me. Oh, look, guys. Did I start with a capital letter there? No, I did not. I need to change that. So let me go ahead and change that word. I don't know what's happening. If I can't, I have to click edit. That's why. Must click edit before you can do anything. Okay, let me go to all, and that needs to be changed to a capital letter. Do you see how I made that change? Now it looks better. All of the kids were downstairs playing hide and seek while their parents were upstairs dancing and singing the night away. Also, yeah, well, let me go ahead and I did notice that I spelled a word wrong as I was reading it, so I do want to make sure I change it. I accidentally wrote load instead of loud, so I'm going to change that to loud. Anyways, let me check for my capital letters. Again, I have a capital letter to start my sentence. I heard a voice say, Monica, ven conmigo, come dance with me. Another capital letter, good. Another capital letter to start my sentence. I'm looking for my periods because it's right after the period is when I start. Another capital letter and another capital letter. I started with a capital letter down here and here. Dun, 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 dun. I have another capital letter here when I started my sentence. Let's see, a capital letter here, 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 and that's the end of my story. So I have done this step. I checked to see if my sentences started with a capital letter. Now I'm ready for step 2. I'm going to check to make sure I ended all my sentences with punctuation. So with a period, an exclamation point, or a question mark. Make sure you should have at the very least one, but usually there's so many periods that we're missing. Some people just wrote a whole thing and then at the very end put a period. There's no way. Sentences are not that long. So let me check mine. I said bump, 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 period. I ended it there. The sound of feet moving and dancing upstairs was loud above us. Period. Done. I could hear the music all around me. Period. Done. All of the kids were downstairs playing hide and seek while our parents were upstairs dancing and singing the night away. Period. Done. One On one of the games of hide and seek, I went upstairs to find a place to hide when all of a sudden I heard a voice say, Monica, ven baila conmigo. Come dance with me. And look, I had an exclamation point for the talking and the period because I finished my sentence. I, I froze, not knowing what to do. Period. Done. Part of me wanted to go dance with mi papa because I love dancing and my dad is the best dancer. Period. Done. But the other part of me was nervous because my friends don't like to dance and I would be the only kid who was dancing. Period. Done. What if they thought I was weird? Exclamation point. Done. Okay, guys. Now, I would keep going, but I don't want to bore you. You guys need to read your story. And then when you're done with that, you can check it off. Yep, you finished and made sure that you had periods at the end of your sentences. Okay? A sentence is one thought. So once one thought ends, put a period and move on. If you add a period somewhere, you have to make sure that the next word starts with a capital letter because that's how we start our sentences, okay? Okay, so you're checking for those two things first. Capital letters at the beginning, punctuation at the end. Once you've done these two things, the very last thing I want you to think about, and this is important, because just because you wrote something on KidBlog does not mean you have it all done. It doesn't mean that you didn't forget something. So this is our step to check and make sure. You're going to check if you have a beginning, a middle, and an end. As second graders, we don't just write one sentence as a story. Nope, second graders and authors, we make sure that our story has a clear beginning, middle, and end so that our readers actually have something to read and they understand it. If we're missing what happens in the end, our readers are going to be confused. If we don't have a beginning and don't even tell them about where we are and what we're doing, they're going to be confused. If we don't have a middle part, again, it's probably going to be pretty boring. That's what the middle does. It makes it interesting, okay? So in the beginning, we usually are talking about our setting and our characters. So usually you're describing things like what's happening. Remember in mine, I described the party and the sounds that I was hearing. In the middle, you usually have your big problem. So remember, my problem was that I was nervous about my family or about dancing and my friends seeing. So I have that in the middle part of my story. And then the ending usually has your solution. How do they solve that problem? And you can see that I have my ending just right here, okay? If you want, you can make your story look like mine where you have a space in between your beginning, in your middle, and your end. That way it's clear. Look, Mrs. Davis, I have my beginning, I have my middle, and I have my end. All right, guys, so now it's your turn. You need to go on to KidBlog and you need to go back to your writing that you've been writing all week long. You should only have one writing this week, unless if you finish early today. You can always write a new one if you finish today. But all week long, we really focus on one piece of writing. And you're going to do these three things. Check for these three things. Capital letters at the beginning, punctuation at the end, and do you have a beginning, middle, and end of your story? Okay? When you're done, you click the publish button and you make sure that it's to the class. Click publish again, okay? I'm not going to click publish yet because I do want to add a picture. You need to have a cover picture. So one way to do that is go to avatars or you can go to headers. So I need to look through and see which one would make sense with my story about the fiesta. So I'm going to look around those pictures and keep working. But you guys are going to be finishing and publishing your stories. All right? All right, guys. We'll have a good time. I can't wait to see your stories and see what you guys write.